Awesome. My name is Carine. I'm excited to be here this year again. Last year I was here talking about how we redesigned the data platform. So today, behind me is what my talk is going to be about. Perhaps the problem wasn't the platform, it's the teams and the structure around it. It was initially easy, but then it might be or might be not. I will let you guys decide what you think. All right, so before we jump in, I'll give you some context. So who is Easygo? I left the QR code just for you guys to see who we are and also some of the open roles. Easygo is a tech company here based in Melbourne. We are behind such great products and big products. The first one is our stake online casino platform. With over 30 billion monthly wager, so it's a lot of data that we use there, we maintain there. We have the stake engine. A stake engine is the engine, like it says in the name, is the engine behind gaming publishers. So if it's either an individual or a studio, they use our platform to develop and deploy the games. We also have Kick. Kick is a streaming platform that enables creators to share their content. And the last but not least is Easygo Games. So we do have our own game studios, and we provide those games to other online platforms. So this is not only about all the logos here. Why I want to bring it up, all the products that we have, it's because we are 24/7. We are online platforms. We deal with billions of users across all of them, and also the volume of data that we receive every day, it's massive. So everything that I'm going to talk about is the pressure and how we dealt with the pressure as well behind all these products. Okay, this sounds like an org talk, but because of the audience, I'm going to try to bring a bit of the technical side of it as well. And I'm going to take you to this ride with me, or the ride for the past year. So I'm going to be talking about why replatforming it didn't fix the actual problem. It worked. The platform is much better, but the underlying problem perhaps it didn't fix. Then the anatomy of the platform. That is where we're going to get a bit more technical, just to show what the platform looks like, right? Some of our layers. The org redesign. That one, it's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to share my own opinion on that one as well. Then making it real, I will show what it meant for us. So that's why I'm calling it Make It Real. And your Monday reflection. So I want you guys to go home, not this week, perhaps next week, reflect and do something, or if you want, do something about it. Okay, so let's start with the diagnose. I think we misdiagnose a lot of things when we were building it, or perhaps I did. So think about the tool trap. I believe in your career, you probably engaged and invested in a tool, one or more tools, and that investment perhaps worked or perhaps didn't work completely. For us, or for many organizations, we invested in a lake house, right? To get some flexibility, cheap storage, and also have one centralized copy of the data. Investment number 2. So it's an orchestrator. So we need something to actually maintain, to schedule and monitor the jobs or the pipelines. And then there is semantic layer. There are many names of that. Let's call it semantic layer, one definition of every metric. All right, so why I call it trap? For the first one, we still receive the same questions, right? The business is still waits weeks for an answer. Then it's also an unclear ownership. So who is going to wake up 2 in the morning to actually fix one of the pipelines that's broken? And then we still have a lot of duplicated work. So why different people working on the same thing? So all of that, it's not only the technical side, but also what is behind the organizational side of this. So the symptoms, they look technical, right? But in reality, I don't think they're only technical. Because think about some of the tickets that you probably get, or we certainly do. This one, just imagine, that is a ticket. We constantly get this one, which is the platform is down again, right? And this ticket was raised for the same person that is floating, or the same team, let's put it away, that is floating the cluster with all the queries and requests. And they are never the ones that are paged to fix it. Another ticket, right? These are coming from my engineering squads, right? When can I retire the legacy systems, Carine? And then what we have today is like nobody has the authority to actually cut it down. So another good one, where is my dashboard? So people waiting for weeks, what could have done in a few hours, perhaps. And then how do I access what I'm looking for, right? So how do I get access to the data? So these are some of the symptoms that we think it look very technical, but in reality, it is deeper than that. It's deeper than the tools itself. Okay, so what I think we should, and perhaps an advice that I'm going to give today is like if you get the chance to restructure something, we debate a lot about tools, but we forget to debate about things that truly matter. So we debate about warehouse, lake house, which tool to buy. We have a lot of vendors outside, right? So we debate a lot about that. But I think we should be focusing on these conversations, right? So who is going to be responsible for what? Who is going to take the ownership, right? So who is going to wake up 2 a.m. to actually fix that? So if I had a time machine, I would go back and perhaps focus more on these parts before starting anything new. Okay, so the uncomfortable truth is that technology, it's perhaps not the problem or the only problem, right? It's the structure that we build around it. So how we give people ownership, how we make them accountable around the team design, maintaining that platform. So that is going to determine if the platform will actually thrive or just stall. All right, bit of the technical side. The platform has layers. I'm going to talk about some of these layers. The first one, pretty common, everyone knows it. If you're a data engineer, if you work on data, that is the ingestion. The data lives somewhere, right? And then we need to consume this data. So simple as get the data in. Then once we have the data, we need to have what? A storage and a compute, right? So we need to have a storage and then to live for as many years as we want. And then the compute, that is how we're going to access that storage. Transformations, where we're going to create the models, or what we think, well, actually what a lot of people use, that is the raw bronze medallion architecture, bronze, silver to gold, right? So we need to do that transformation to ensure that we are serving a proper data for our end users and it's easier for them to do it. But then, when I think about ingestion and compute, we need to have the platform team accountable, right? And data engineers, they should be the ones responsible to make it work. Now, there is a transformation and the serving. Teams, the domain teams, your finance, your marketing, they're the ones accountable to make sure that whatever you're building on your transformation or whatever they're serving is what they're looking for, what is good for the business, across the business. But then responsibility, it lays down in another team. So in transformation is an analytics engineer team, and then on serving is the analyst, because they need to ensure that the business functions, they have the data that they're looking for. I'm not saying the business analyst or the data analysts, they are actually the ones building everything, but they're responsible to make sure that whoever is self-serving from that platform gets what they are looking for. All right, so one rule to remember here is that if one layer has two owners or two people responsible for it, it has none. All right, so this is one thing very good to remember. All right, so this is just a reality for us, what we have today in the platform. So for sources, what we have a bunch of different brands, and each brand, they perhaps use the same technology behind it. Sometimes they don't. But we do ingest data from databases, live streams, front-end events, APIs, files. Then the second layer where we ingest the data, we use tools such as Zero ETL, Kinesis, Kafka, Fivetran, or SFTP when someone pushes it to us. And then we have two paths here, which soon I want the team to have just one path to simplify overall. So we have a lakehouse path, right, where everything sits into a S3 bucket, gives the flexibility of the lakehouse. And then on the right side, we have the warehouse path, which is what me and the team we are working towards to actually retiring all this together. So this is the other path for us, and just to give a bit of context as well, how we look for. And then I almost forgot, that is the analytics self-serve. Down at the bottom, they're very important, they're there, but what we want to enable in our layers is that anyone could consume that data without us being, like the data teams being the bottlenecks. All right, this is the guards layer, right? It's very important because it tells us how the platform is performing, right? The health of the platform. So I call that a fifth layer, just to give you an idea that around the technical infrastructure, these are some of the things that we need to make sure it is there, it is available. So our orchestrator will be there. The ingestion jobs, and everything should be on the layer. This is the control plane, right? But everything should be on our observability. So this is the last layer here on the monitoring and analytics is the way. I see my team laughing there because they but yeah, orchestration, it's a very big part of monitoring, analyzing, have this whole observability of the platform health. All right, let's see how we have time. Okay, the org redesign. I'll take a break. A lot of this is my opinion, but I think it could work, right? So we have models or frameworks that exist, right? Probably you have heard about centralized model where one data team owns everything. Embedded model where people sit inside the product or the business teams, the functions. And we have a hybrid model, right? So we have a central platform team, and then we have aligned, like we have some teams sitting with the domain people. All right, so let's do a quick vote. I think we have time. Who is using the centralized model at the moment? Okay, quite a few people. I would say we kind of are as well. The embedded model. There is no right or wrong here, right? You do what makes sense for your business and for your teams, right? And the hybrid. Okay, I like that. Yeah, hybrid, yeah. That would be my option as well. All right, so these models, what I think for the centralized, it wins in consistency, in standards, and deep expertise. But it can also break when it becomes the bottleneck. Then the embedded, it wins with context, speed, and closeness to the decisions. But it can break with duplication of work, drift in between the data models, no shared standards, working on your own. And the hybrid, it wins in paved roads, I'll say, and in that case it would be having the patents, basically, centrally, and delivered from that central place across the business. Even though most of the group here voted on that one, and it's my choice, would be my choice as well, I also had to find a way, like how and when it can break. And it's just only when there is the boundary between the centralized team and the the embedded team, it's left fuzzy. What it means when it's left fuzzy, they don't have clarity. They don't know what they're doing. So communication is a very big, important piece there for it to work. Okay, so this is what it looks like for us. So you have a lot of the functions. This is just some of them. Every single request is funneled to the analytics data team, right? And every single pipeline goes into the same warehouse or the same compute that we are using. So then we have the weeks of queue for new analytics space. We have, for us and for our case, is a platform migration that does not move. One team, no clear responsibilities defined of who is doing what. So we have knowledge everywhere, right? It's not a specific pattern or a specific road for the teams to navigate through. And we have duplicates. So we look at it and say, why we're doing the same thing over and over? We should be simplifying that as well. Okay, and then that comes from what I think it should be working, which is the hybrid approach. Or some people, they say the hub and spoke approach here. We can make it simple, just hybrid, having both at the same time. So this is actually how we operate today at Easygo. We do have 5 different roles, right? And those 5 different roles in team, they are into 2 different departments. So you can see like how they're divided. But what I think about the hub, how it should look like, is that data ops and ML ops, they both should be part of the data platform, right? Because they're designing and developing the infrastructure to keep not only the infrastructure, but to enable the engineering teams as well. It's the same purpose and pretty much the same technology there. Data engineering, they're going to continue doing the engineering work, but they are also part of the platform, right? Because remember my previous slides, they are responsible as well for the platform. Data analysts is an interesting one, especially for us, because they can choose, right? They can be analytics engineers, because they both have, some of them, they have the technical skills that they can become analytics engineers, but they also have the domain expertise. But in the other situation, they can just be continue working close with the business on the analytics side and being hybrid. That is one that I recently started thinking about. How about our data scientists? Where do they fit today with the evolution of AI? I didn't put much details into that because I think that is a complete, it's another complete talk and discussion. But I do think analytics or the data scientists, they could be a choose path where they can become advanced analytics, predictions, understanding, help the domains understand what is next or what is coming. But some of them could also become an AI engineer because this is a new role that it's a lot of business they are start thinking about and creating. So yeah, this is one other talk, but this is my opinion here on the one department, the hub. And on the other side, where we talk about the spoke, is where the embedded domains it would be. So we have a finance, they only need an analyst, so they're embedded in analysts. But we have operations, then we can embed a data analyst and data scientist as well to help them with the business. So they consume from our hub, but they also, it's a very good thing or practice to enable is to give the feedback. Because with the feedback of our spokes is how we can improve the hub. Right? So it's very important, this feedback loop to happen. All right, so making it real for us. Well, it's actually everything real. What actually slowed us down? Unclear ownership across all layers, right? Onboarding into a fast-moving and growing platform. So this is very real for us. We have 4 different brands today. On the first one, we expanded to, I don't know how many markets now we have. 10 markets now. And it's going to come more. So there is a lot of complexity that is non-stop. We need to make quick decisions. One of the things that you probably will see, and I love this edge of Easygo, is that fearless. So we are fearless. We try things. If it does not work, we do it again. Right? So we're always doing it. But that could slow us down sometimes, because when you onboard too fast, sometimes you could slow if the structure is not properly aligned around it. Communication gaps. So there are a lot of communication gaps between the producer and the consumers. That is where the feedback is part of it. And duplicated work. This is very common. I think every single company that I work is duplicated work, but we always want to simplify. And I think that is better communicating how we simplify things. All right, so none of this was technical failure, but in every challenge, now that I had the time to think about it, it traced back to people, process, and the lack of clarity around this process, not actually the tools. Because one thing that I remember I used to say a lot is like, engineers, they're here to solve a problem, right? And then give them the tools, give them the problem, they're going to solve it. So it's not much about the tools, it's about giving the people the process and the clarity about what they're building. All right, and that is a very important us today, and I'm calling it the self-serve goals. Some of them, it's already happening. It's on the process. So we have 2 different serving teams, or 2 different teams that consumes our data. It's the engineering teams and the business consumers, or vice versa, right? Not only consuming, but the ones that we work with. So one of our goals is to pipeline templates. Not only, it's templates for everything. Right? So we can move fast, and we can reuse things that we have built. So we have an example where a new source it's taking now a day, or less than a day, and before it would take. So that is already a big achievement for us. And then that is on the business consumers. These are goals. A semantic layer with certified and governed metrics. Then we have data contracts and CI checks at every single edge of the platform. And on the business, curated marks by domain, where to find those curated marks and where they are documented. It needs to be easier for our consumers. On the engineering teams, we have sandbox computers where people can test and try it out. But also we want to provide a clear cost visibility on that as well, because I don't know if some of you had the same, I wouldn't say problem, but it's a data platform, a DevOps platform. Our cost is huge, but it's not actually our operational cost. It's all the teams cost. So that's why one of the goals, the self-serve goals, is attribution, cost attribution, to tell where this cost is coming from each domain. APIs and feature access without filling a ticket, or if it's filling a ticket, one thing that we're using now is AI, to actually some of the agents to, if it's a recurrent thing, they can do the work for us. And this is very important. We want to have one number for revenue, for example, across the whole business. So no matter who asks, we're going to give it the same number. All right, so what I would do differently, some of the things that I would do differently, is to start ownership conversation first. So define who owns each layer. Then I would invest on onboarding earlier. Don't wait to finalize everything on your platform. Just start onboarding people to get that feedback flow going. So this is a good one. A platform no one can navigate is a platform no one will trust. So onboarding is very important on that one. I will treat communication as a platform concern. So every communication needs to be clear, get the feedback, regular things to understand how people are feeling about the restructure or feeling about the roles or the clarity. I think the feedback is important. And evolve structure with the platform. That goes back to what I said. What it works for Easygo, perhaps it's not what's going to work with your company. So you need to think about what makes sense for you, and don't wait as well for the platform to be done. Work together continuously. So this is one thing that I want you guys to think about and perhaps take to your team. Take this checklist and check with them how many checks do you tick. Right? So every platform layer has a named owner, a team, not a person. Interface between layers are explicit, contracts, certified data sets, the metrics layer. A domain team can ship a new pipeline without filling a ticket. The platform team is measured on adoption, not tickets closed. And roles have distinct chatters. Engineers and analysts and infra. Migrations have pet roles and deprecation dates before they mandate. So think about some of these items and checklists and see how many you tick. If you tick none, perhaps you don't need an engineer in your team. The problem is not the tool. If you tick a few, perhaps it's a change management. I don't know. You think about it. You let me know. You're going to connect with me and share your thoughts on this as well. Hi, 2 minutes to go. Sorry, let me just, part of your Monday reflection. I go quickly on this one. Things that I've thought about it. It's like technology, it's not the hardest part. It's scaling the data function, how it will look like the structure. Clearly defined layers create the foundation for ownership and accountability. Communication, onboarding, and clarity are essential. A platform no one understands or trusts won't support the business at scale. And build the teams as carefully as you build your platform. So don't think only about the tooling, but think about the teams. So I'll leave you with this analogy. A modern data platform is like a spaceship. I don't know if you heard about it, or it's just something that I found out. Cutting edge tech, sophisticated systems, immense capability. But we need skilled astronauts, people with the right roles. We need clear missions. We need to know why we're doing this and how we are doing that. And it's strong leadership. This is one thing as well. I haven't talked too much about this through this talk, but strong leadership is very important as well, because they are the ones that drive the whole business. So without this, the rocket will never leave the ground. So, all right, this is the QR code for my LinkedIn if you want to connect and share a bit about how your structure looks like. But yeah, thank you so much.